good afternoon. Whenever you're listening to this, welcome to the internet's most sophisticated wrestling podcast, discussing the weekly aspects of it all, right here on
The Bald Monkeys Wrestling Podcast.
Welcome, everybody, back to another episode of the Bald Monkeys Wrestling Podcast. We have another edition of Monkey Talk for you tonight. Once again, I am the captain, Captain Chuckles. I hate the name Chuckles, but they still keep calling me that. I got Christopher over here. Christopher, how you doing tonight?
Doing good. Another good night.
Definitely. It's Monday for anybody that wants to know. And on Monday night, tonight, we have a very special guest with us. We met him through another special guest that we had on the show, Sledge. Tonight he was formerly known as being Unholy. Now, going by the new name, Isaiah Izzy James. Thank you for joining us tonight, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chuckles. Good to be here.
Just had to get that in there. Just
I'm
digging it in,
brother.
I love it.
Well, thank you for taking time out of the schedule. I appreciate it.
I was doing absolutely nothing. I actually was in a very intense playoff game on my NBA 2K20. So,
Ooh, what team were you playing?
I love the Rockets. I'm a James Harden guy.
Okay.
Right now, I'm faced with the Milwaukee Bucks, and they're kind of tough.
Nice.
So, yeah,
Tough squad, yeah.
I think the last basketball game I played was like NBA Jam.
Oh, same, absolutely. NBA Street on PS2, but I never really got like the basketball too much until like the last year or so, and just playing the video game and like starting to watch it, really studying it and watching how they play. I was never like a stats nerd, but now I've become one.
That nerd stuff sneaks up on you. Got to be careful.
Definitely.
Oh man, hey, I'm a nerd at heart. I was never an athlete in school. All of us, we're all nerds. And
Y'all nerd over something, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly.
All right, so let's get the official part of the interview started. And we start all of our interviews at the very beginning. Everyone has a beginning. So what was young Isaiah James like?
Oh gosh. So I was a loner. I was like I grew up an only child, and I kind of always felt like the outcast kind of kid. I had my like small group of friends. We skateboarded and played video games, and like I said, I was never really like a super big athlete. I was obsessed with pro wrestling. That was like the one thing. I grew up with like this box of VHS tapes, and it had old NWA and WWF. I had every special of Shawn Michaels, every Bret Hart, like just everything. And that's all I really did. I would watch wrestling and play video games. And like I said, most kids were into sports, that I knew. Not
Sure.
me. I was inside. Occasionally I'd go outside and hurt something while skateboarding and never successfully do a kickflip. So I was just doing it.
I couldn't do it either.
Yeah.
I can't just stand on it, let alone kick anything. I'm good, yeah.
Oh, I was good at doing it, at least an ollie. Yeah.
Okay. There you go.
I could get like an inch pop.
Yeah, you were the guy on the skateboard. I was the guy on the scooter. I had like the old school scooter with the big wheels.
Yep.
And I was just doing bunny hops over stuff. That was it.
I was also big into rollerblading, and everybody at that time, all my friends hated the rollerbladers for some reason, but I was dope. I could do the spins and stuff, but no, they didn't like me. I was like, you ride a skateboard or not?
So you mentioned wrestling. You mentioned getting some VHS tapes. Who stood out to you? Who was the first, what's the first memory of wrestling that really stood out to you?
So this is actually a very special moment for me. because I have a very strong love for the professional wrestling I grew up watching. And the very first memory I can think back on my life is my mom and my grandmother taking me to the Sportatorium when it was still around in Dallas. I'm old enough for that. They were taking me, and I remember I was just a little kid and holding their hands, and we go over the hump. I can see the lights. I can still smell like the cotton candy in the air. And Jeff Jarrett is in the middle of the ring cutting a promo, and that's the first wrestling memory of my life, in my life. And I think that's one of those moments that like I look to as not only like a happy place, but like that's what made one of the reasons that I'm a fan, but also one of the reasons I am a pro wrestler today.
Nice.
So you almost had the double, because that's one of our main questions is what do you remember about getting into wrestling, and then what made you want to become a wrestler? So you had that all incumbent in one moment. So that's a pretty powerful moment.
Yeah, that's a real big moment for me. But there's other moments. WrestleMania 12 with Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels. That's one of those matches that just I never seen wrestling like that before. Like I watched wrestling. You watch your 8-minute, 10-minute TV match, but you see an hour-long match. But that's just different. And then as I got into it, I started realizing Japan is like every match is an hour.
Yeah, that's just the norm. Yeah.
Yeah, it's what we do, brother.
It's a marathon over there.
Light day.
So, Chris, what did I jump on you?
No, you're good.
No, go ahead.
No, I was gonna ask if there was another wrestler besides the Bretts, the Shawns, and the moment with Jeff Jarrett. Was there anybody else that stood out to you as one of the wrestlers that you remember? I don't want to say as your favorite yet, because we will get to the favorites later, but just somebody who stood out to you as like, man, you loved watching them.
As a little kid, I was really into Ultimate Warrior. I actually have, I don't know if you can see it, I have like a whole bunch of figurines up on the top of my.
Oh, nice.
And a whole bunch of Ultimate Warriors. And I got one John Cena in there because I am a John Cena fan. But Ultimate Warrior and Macho Man was one of them. The colorful characters like that I was really into, especially Macho Man with all of his shtick. And Warrior you can never understand, but it was just so entertaining. But as I got older, I would have to say, absolutely Shawn. But then you got guys like Chris Jericho that came along, Eddie Guerrero, the Hardy Boys. I was actually lucky enough to wrestle Matt Hardy in a match alongside Sammy Guevara, surprisingly enough, about 3 or 4 years ago, actually. And that was a really good match. It was definitely surreal seeing broken Matt Hardy come to the ring while you're standing there.
Yeah, definitely. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And it's funny. You talked about the Rockets, and I actually have
a
Houston Rockets cup right here from when
Oh,
we
yeah?
were.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
I got a cup with John Cena on it.
Oh, you beat me.
I have that same Rockets cup.
We were actually down in Houston for the Rumble and NXT stuff, and I picked this one up one night when we were, I guess, where the Rockets play. I think that's where NXT Worlds Collide was.
I think that's right.
Yeah.
Actually, I was at the Royal Rumble doing extra work that evening.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I got to help carry Baron Corbin to the ring during.
Lucky you.
Yeah, well, yeah, you can say so.
I have a special hate in my heart for Baron Corbin.
Then he's doing his job right.
Exactly. It's true. That is 100% true.
Yes, I see why people hate on him, but he's doing his job right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You mentioned a lot of the wrestlers that kind of, caught your eye when you were younger. I know you started your career about 10 years ago or so. What was that moment that you said, this is what I want to do? I want to get into the ring. And then how did you decide on where to start to train and everything?
So April 3rd, 2010 was my debut. So it's been a year and a few months. I remember I've always played the video games. Like I've been a really big video game person my whole life. But I was always playing the video games, and I was working at this job where we would set up cameras. Like, whenever somebody goes hunting, they have the infrared cameras for the deers.
Mhm.
I used to test those for a living, and that was really boring. So I remember I was on the computer and I searched Craigslist, and I was like, you know what, I want to try and see what I can find as far as wrestling school. Maybe I can give this a try, because I felt maybe I was capable. At least give me a chance to try it. If I'm not, then I know I'm not.
Yeah.
But I went on Craigslist, found this ad for MPX wrestling. It was, at that point, it wasn't really anything. It was just a couple guys who had a ring, doing it the nitty gritty way that nobody wants to talk about, doing it the backyard way. The bad way to get into business. But I called them. I told them what I wanted to do, and it was probably really funny for the guy to hear, "Yeah, I want to be a WWE champion." So, I mean, how many different calls are you going to get a day? I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyways, I called. I think the next weekend I went up there. I, told me to buy some knee pads and some, bring basketball shorts and whatever. I went and tried it out, and I remember I took my first bump, and I watched Tough Enough when I was younger. So I've watched wrestling my whole life. I know the whole, backstory. It's what it is, And so I took my first bump, and they're like, "You sure you've never done this before?" Like, I'm serious. And I was like, "Never done it in my life, but, just fix this, fix that, and it's good. Just keep going." And so that was my start. Just MPX went from that to, I think, like 6 months later, we had a building, and then we had more students, and then we started running shows. Different local guys from around Texas, or at least DFW, started coming to our promotion and started helping train us. Because we had one guy who, his name was Jaden, who, said he was trained by so-and-so, but wasn't the best trainer overall. And so we needed more guys. And so Matt Palmer ended up taking me under his wing at one point, and he's married to Ember Moon.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out for her.
Love Ember.
Yeah, I love Ember. But he took me under his wing for like a year, and I learned a lot from that. But that was my start in the Texas wrestling business, is DFW, going through MPX, and then slowly through those guys, Matt and other guys, even like Lance Hoyt, or Lance Archer on AEW, helped get me out to different promotions all throughout Texas. And slowly I branched out, and I've been an extra on WWE against the AOP. I've worked for Ring of Honor once or twice, three times, I think. And then did an Impact versus Reality Wrestling, which is Booker T's school, where I'm currently centered at here in Houston. And that was really fun, getting to work with those guys, like OVE and Madman Fulton and the North. That was a really fun battle royal we did.
Nice. I was going to say, when you were in that ring for the first time and you took that bump, and they were kind of like, "Oh, wait, have you done that?" In your head, were you like, "Yes," like I that's like a check off right there. Like I did something right. Like I was watching, and now it worked. Yeah,
exactly. It's one of those moments where it's like, no, I've never done this. Was that right? Absolutely. It's one of those, yes, I did it, but I'm one of those like self-deprecating persons or people. So I'm like, maybe.
You mentioned a whole bunch of different, independent wrestling in Texas. It seems like, as we're talking to more and more people, the independent scene in Texas just seems so abundant. It seems like there's so many places down there for people not just to train, but to have shows for. I mean, you mentioned MPX, you mentioned Reality of Wrestling, where Booker is. I mean, I know that you wrestled for ACW as well. Talk
There's a
about
lot.
the scene down there. Like, why is all of a sudden like Texas, and maybe not even all of a sudden, but why is it such a hotbed for all of this talent?
I think that Texas for a long time has been a sleeper. Everybody's eyes are on the East Coast. You watch GCW, you see um, IWA. You know, you got Rockstar Pro up in Cleveland, and all the Jersey, people,
Yep.
and everybody in New York and Maryland and all that. Everybody's eyes are there, or like California, where PWG is. But Texas, even when I was breaking in, it was kind of rebuilding itself, thanks to guys like Tim Storm and sure, Matt Palmer as well, and Ember Moon when she was running through Texas. They kind of helped put eyes back on Dallas when Dallas was kind of dead for a while. But then about 4 or 5 years into my career, places like Inspire Pro started showing up and started getting more social media presence. One of the things that a lot of the promotions here lack is that social media presence. Either they don't have the knack for it, or they don't know somebody that can help them out for that. But I feel like that's the main thing that's holding a lot of people back from seeing the talent that we do possess. Like guys like Ricky Starks is an Austin guy, and he just recently got picked up at AEW. Shout out to Ricky, love you, brother. Lance Archer is another one who has been wrestling for 20 years, and he was in TNA, but just in New Japan and in these last couple of years has really come out.
Yeah.
And Keith Lee is another one of those breakout stories from Texas. But now we have more promotions. Reality of Wrestling is Booker T's. That's we are now doing content. We're doing the no crowd shows with the social distancing shows. We just did a drive-in show that'll air this Sunday, where people drove up their cars to the ring like it was a drive-in movie, and he tuned into a radio station to listen to our commentary with Booker.
Oh, that's cool.
Pretty cool. Now we got promotions, all women's promotions down here. We got Mission Pro, ran by Thunder Rosa, and we got Sabotage. We've got who else? We've got Lucha Brutal is one of the ones in Dallas now. Soar, which is ran by Bobby Horn, who was one of the men on a mission in WWF back in the day with Mabel.
Yes.
So there's a lot of promotions in DFW, in Houston, in Austin, even in Odessa with OSW, Old School Wrestling. It's a small little area, but they've been running for years. And Kurt Stallion, one of the Evolve standouts, is from OSW. So you see a lot of these guys, but a lot of them don't realize they got a lot of their starts here in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
It's fantastic to see how much stuff started there, and everybody branching out and everything. It's really great to see it come from that level, and then have these guys flourish at other levels in wrestling. It's really nice to see.
Absolutely. It's guys like Keith Lee are definitely an inspiration for me, to see a guy who is in his 30s, I'm in my 30s, to like make it at this point in his career. You get told it's a young man's game. You're only going to be in it for so many years, and your body hurts. Absolutely does. But there's been times where I've wanted to quit, and I just keep thinking about Keith Lee and his rise late in his career. I feel late in his career.
Yeah.
And guys like Lance Archer as well, late in his career, he got his rise. So that keeps me motivated, as long as going to school at the same time. That's been kind of a blessing in disguise.
We'll get into that a little bit later.
Yeah.
But speaking of hurting your body, one of the matches that caught my eye, and it was for two different reasons. The one reason was because it was our first ever guest interview that we had, which was Chris Bay. And the second reason that it caught my eye was because the gentleman in front of us that you're all watching jumped off a balcony into the ring.
No, Chris jumped off the balcony on me.
Chris jumped off the balcony. What was it like taking that? Like, it's not just like, that's not just the top of a cage or the top of the turnbuckle. It's a balcony.
At this point, I've done it so many times where I've either dove off of a balcony or been in the on the other end of that. It's just normal now because at ACW at Anarchy, it's that underground feel. It's got the balconies above us, and I've dove off that balcony 5-6 times. Just the footage is out there. It's I think it's on smartmarkvideo.com, and I think now they're starting to air it on IWTV.
IWTV, yep. I can't even imagine like prepping myself to do that. I mean, when I was a little kid, I didn't even want to jump out of the tree in my front yard, let alone a balcony into a ring.
I think it's one of those things, reckless abandon when I was a little younger. I'll still do it, but now I'm very picky on when I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
More select shots. Yeah, choose your shots now, right?
Wisdom with age, boys.
Now, you recently got back into the ring after being off for, what everybody knows has been going on in the world. How was it getting back into the ring?
I'll have to say that was probably the longest time in my career I've ever spent not training, not in a ring, for being in wrestling 10 years. But it was definitely doing like the social distancing shows or not having like a real crowd. It's a new challenge. So it's frustrating, but it's also at the same time, I like to challenge myself. I want to push myself. I want to make sure that I'm, capable of doing what someone needs of me anytime somebody of the bigger companies wants to call on me to do the job. So it's definitely a challenge, but it's something I kind of look forward to. But at the same time, I get the bubble guts.
Yeah.
But training, at first, it's you do your couple of rolls and you start getting warmed up in the ring, and then you realize, oh gosh, it's really hot and I'm sweating bullets, and I've only been running for 2 minutes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I enjoy the challenge. I'll have to say that.
Nice.
You talk about wisdom because obviously you've been able to experience a lot. Let's call it that. You've been able to go through and learn from a lot of different people. Who did you gain the most from? Who do you think is like, maybe not a mentor, but someone you were able to like learn the most from in the wrestling industry through your journey so far?
So I wrote this down. I didn't want to mess this up.
Of course.
So in the year and a half that I've been at Booker T's, I've learned a lot. You hear a lot of things through different guys, through different peers, different schools. I've traveled all over. I've gone to Monster Factory. I've gone to Hybrid. Excuse me. I've gone to Booker T's and, my starting school in PX. But when someone says it in a certain way and it finally clicks, it's like, I get it right away, But I'd have to say Booker T is one of them. I still I was talking to Lance Archer today. Like, I sent him a match that I recently did, and I was like, "What do you got for me? Give me all the good, all the bad, all the ugly." And that's what I need. I want all the bad and the ugly, so I know what to fix. Right.
Exactly.
But then Matthew Palmer was another one. Those are like main three that I tend to lean on as far as the knowledge.
And you're always learning, right? There's always more to learn.
Absolutely. I'm always picking someone's brain. Cassius Ono was at Row for a show that we did, and I was able to pick his brain. Bob Evans. I've got to train with Jerry Lynn. I've got to train with Yoshi Tatsu. That was really fun. I've got to train with Funaki. Picked his brain. He calls me Greg Punk because at me, I was still going by my original wrestling name, my original gimmick. which was Too Much Metal, Gregory James, and had long hair, covered in tattoos. I obviously look like CM Punk. So, but I love Funaki. He's great. Who else did I get to train with? I've trained with so many different. I've trained with. I've got to do a couple Ring of Honor seminars with. One of them was a Ring of Honor / New Japan seminar with Shinsuke, and Liger was there. Tommaso, Adam Cole. The list goes on and on.
That's amazing.
Just a sponge, pick it up as much as you can.
Yeah.
You talk about being ready and the idea that when that phone call comes, you're ready and you're going to be available or you're going to be prepared. How do you stay motivated as you go through this journey? Because you're not the first person, I think, to say, I have to stay ready. I have to keep myself ready. So how do you keep yourself motivated to that point?
I have to keep going. I have to keep myself out of my own headspace because I will let depression eat at me and make sure that I feel it and I feel down most days, but I keep going to keep myself motivated. I have to be out of my headspace. I have to go to the gym. I have to go to training. I have to talk to my peers, my friends in the business that kind of going through some of the same struggles right now, especially with what's going on. It's so unsure with what's going on. Like, are we even going to get back to what we used to do?
Yeah, that's got to be alarming right now as a professional wrestler, where you don't know what's next. You don't know when next is coming.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, do you have a next? Do you know what's the next thing next time you're going to be able to get in a ring?
Absolutely. I have Wednesday we are filming for Reality of Wrestling for more weekly episodes. And then this Saturday I'll be here in downtown Houston at Fearless Pro in a triple threat match for the Rising Phoenix Championship, I think. But it's me versus Bryson Scott versus Jason Knight. That should be a fun match. And then Sunday, I'm at SWE in Canton, and that is for a national taping, I believe. Former NWA champion Tim Storm is on there. I think he's their current heavyweight champion. We have Will Allday is on there. We also have my very close friend Barrett Brown and / Mortal Enemy. And then guys like Malico, who I think you guys should look into. A guy like Malico is a very big personality and somebody I think that a lot of people are sleeping on, as well as a guy named Ryan Davidson, who is the current Reality of Wrestling head trainer right now. And he's another. I forgot to mention him, but he's a good brain to pick in the professional wrestling business.
What's it like coming across some of these people that you're even telling us to go look for? Is it almost like to the point of your career now where you're like discovering new people, and it's almost like a reinvention of your career where you get to go find new people in the industry and have these new experiences with different wrestlers?
Well, I think right now it's definitely a reboot with what's going on. I had 4 months off, 5 months off to really sit and think about what I was doing. And I had learned that I was unhappy with where I was going. I was constantly complaining, constantly telling myself I'm going to retire each and every single day and never really bringing myself to do so. But that's why the name change came. That's why the character change came because I was doing something for so long and I was like, well, it's not working. So now it's time to change. And I don't throw everybody's name out there. Oh, check this guy, check that guy, check this guy. I've known and been a part of so many locker rooms and met so many people throughout this business, but the guys like Malico, Will, Ryan Davidson, those are the guys that I feel are hidden talents, especially guys like Ryan Davidson and Malico, because one, Malico is so unique. You won't find anybody that's like him. And Ryan Davidson is so knowledgeable and just so crafty and so technically sound in the ring that it's amazing that he's not already somewhere like AEW, WWE, or anywhere else.
Yeah. Now you've been around the block a little bit, it sounds like, you know, and you have to have some funny stories of being on the road and traveling to different events and everything and different shows and different promotions. What's one of your most fun stories that you're allowed to tell us?
There's like a few. It was just a quick trip from like Austin to Dallas, which is only like a 3-hour drive, but it was me, a guy named Bryson Scott, and a guy named Donnie Giovanni, who's no longer in the wrestling business, but he's a really good dude. One of the funniest times, and it was so like we were crying, laughing the entire trip. I think we filmed some of it, and that might be on a camera somewhere on Bryson's boxes somewhere, maybe. Maybe not. Maybe it's destroyed. It was super funny. But then I drove to California from Texas with two guys from the Hybrid Wrestling School, Aaron Mercer and RJ. And that was fun because you start off in Texas and then you get to Arizona and it's like March and you're in Arizona and all of a sudden it's a blizzard and all you have are basketball shorts and it's 3 a.m. and you got to get gas. Yeah. And so there was, we got Aaron Mercer out to do gas and we locked the doors. So we had to stay out there the whole time and he's just freaking while the gas is going and he's like flipping us off the whole time. And we wouldn't let him back in the car until we got him, until we got the whole thing filled up. And then we drove all the way to California, did the 2 shows. We stayed at Sledge's place. So that's, I met Sledge here in Texas, but then, we've kind of, stayed in touch. But we stayed there, did a few shows. I worked Zicky Dice. That was the first time I ever met Zicky. But yeah, we had I think it was live streamed on SinCal Pro. I want to say, maybe it's on their YouTube. I'm not too sure. But, and then on the way back, we decided we were going to stop in Fresno because I wanted to see the aliens, obviously.
Did you see any aliens? Were they?
No, well, there. Just saw the stores. So and the whole time we're doing this this video or these series of videos where we were treating the unholy character that I was doing at the time kind of like Candyman, and so they would say unholy, 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 and I'd pop up randomly somewhere. And I remember one was
shouldn't be funny, but it is.
Yeah.
it's just stupid. It's random and stupid. And like one of the first ones we did, and we were dying laughing, was like they're filming themselves in the car, right? And I'm in the front seat just sitting next to it, waiting for them to do the tagline. And they go unholy, 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 and then they scream and turn and look at me, and I'm like, "What the hell are you doing in my bathroom?" And we just
worked it.
And we did one in like a McDonald's where they have the spaceship McDonald's, and they did that. And I'm sitting in there, and I'm like, "Hey guys, look, I'm flying a spaceship." But it was fun. It was like 24 hours there one way, and then 26 hours to come back.
Oof.
Those long road trips, they're long. They're long,
but if you have good people with you, it kind of makes the trip.
Yeah, yeah.
So we talked a whole bunch about wrestling. Outside of wrestling, what are? Oh, go ahead.
Real quick, I fucked that up. Sorry, I said Fresno. I meant Roswell. New Mexico. I don't know why.
That's
it's
where the
impressive.
aliens are.
Roswell,
Unless-
we did not
I think
mean
I
to
got-
mess that
I
up.
think I did get abducted while I was in Roswell.
That's
Told me it
they-
was fresh.
There you go.
what happens.
Those
See?
dicks.
They messed with his mind. Just so
I
people,
didn't wear the helmet, man. I didn't wear it.
people watch out for Roswell and Fresno.
And
Fresno.
Both of those places.
Any
known
town-
fact.
Oh.
Yeah, all the O's.
Yeah, all the O towns.
Yes.
Houston. Shit.
So outside of wrestling, what are some things that you like to do to keep busy? I know you mentioned you're going to school. Talk
Mhm.
a little bit about that. And I see that there is a Dallas Stars jersey back there in that closet.
There's that one, and then there's one over here. I got two of them.
Nice.
I got to get the product placement for my Insidious one. One of my students, slash manager. But yeah, I'm a Dallas Stars fan. It's probably the only team in Dallas that I do like. But I've been following the NBA since they started back up again. So I've been watching a lot of the games, playing the video game religiously, pretty much since I'm a personal trainer, and so when I'm not training at row or working out, I'm training others. Since I'm in school, I'm lucky enough to do I have a really open schedule right now, so I just mainly do that and focus on training.
Nice. Are you watching the NHL playoffs?
I was watching a Stars game. It was them versus it was Calgary.
Yep, the Flames.
The
Yeah,
other day. They won 5-4, I believe.
screwed up my hat trick.
I haven't been keeping up with it too much because I don't have the NHL app. I'm broke. I'm a broke college student, so
It happens.
so I don't have that. But I try to keep up with it on Instagram and Twitter and stuff. So
Yeah, NBC usually does a pretty good job of catching everybody up if they don't have it.
yeah.
Now, when you were talking to Sledge, I think I noticed an Elevate Pro tank top that you were wearing. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Did you have? The only reason I ask is we have talked to Brittany, who now runs Elevate Pro, and we've talked to Ray Fury and JC Vega and know of a couple other people down there. Did you wrestle with them or do you know them?
Yes, I was actually their first heavyweight champion.
Oh.
Yes, back when the company started, it was ran by a different person.
Yeah.
But I wrestled Ray Fury actually in a series of matches where it ended up with me winning the belt, and then we did a series of more matches, throughout I think a couple months with him and who was the other guy? Corey Constantine, and there was somebody else, Purple Haze. A few others in that Louisiana area, but yeah, I worked with them for a while. The last match I think I had with them was me with the Insidious one, my manager, versus Trip Cassidy and Serpentico. Match. I think it was 2017, maybe early 2018. But that was the last time I got to work with him. And I recently worked with Brittany at Kickstart My Heart in Minnesota. And she's such a sweetheart. Very nice girl. We've been in talks about our Insidious one and I coming to Elevate again, and hopefully on a more consistent basis once they're running shows again.
Nice.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
Speaking of exciting, we are at the favorite part of the interview, the favorites.
Oh, no. The favorites.
These could be anything. We usually try to listen in. We usually put just generic things in there where we share them, but we listen to the interview. We try to pick things that might be interesting to talk about. So first thing I'm going to jump on you is favorite video game.
Oh, I would have to say not Mass Effect. Mass Effect. Fallout 4.
Okay.
Fallout 4. I'm a huge Fallout 4 fan, but I was going to possibly go with Mass Effect 3.
Okay.
Mass Effect, really good game.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to go with Fallout, though.
Now we're going to dig deeper and go favorite retro video game.
Now, when you say retro, are we talking?
I'm talking PS2 or earlier. You got to get before PS2 for it to count. Which, scary enough, I just heard myself say that is actually retro. Yeah, we're old.
Hang on.
He's going to pull it out.
Uh-oh. I love it.
He's digging deep.
No Mercy.
Oh, man.
Beautiful.
Yes.
And for only $6.99.
Yeah, I know.
For only $6.99.
That's a steal.
I also have the WCW NWO Revenge. That is $9.99, ladies and gentlemen.
It's amazing that this N64 system continually comes up in our favorites as either a system or a game on the system is people's favorite game to play.
That system, I don't think anybody will like. I'll never get rid of my N64 again. Nobody will ever convince me to, unless you maybe like give me $1 million for it. But but no.
Full-time wrestling contract N64. May be able to pull your leg on that one.
Yeah, you might be able to pull my leg on that one.
So you've traveled around a lot to a lot of different places. What's your favorite place to wrestle?
Shoot. Oh, that's a tough one. That is a tough one. Oh, man.
Because you don't want to hurt any other city. It's okay. It's we all understand. Like, you love everywhere. But
I really like Austin. Their crowds, whenever we had Wrestle Circus here for a little while, those crowds were just ravenous. We get those crowds, when we have Inspire and we have ACW, but the crowd there is different than the crowd in like Dallas. Dallas, nothing against you guys, but Austin got you beat a little bit. And then I'm trying to think like out of state. When I was doing those Elevate shows, those crowds were pretty hot. But then again, I've only done like a few out in the Northeast. I did one show in Connecticut back in 2014, a long time ago. I did a show, the ones in California, but those were just little one-offs, that I didn't really get to really dive into that scene.
Yeah.
Is there one place that you want to go wrestle? Like one city or one venue that you're like, if I can get there, then I know that that's a huge accomplishment for myself or a dream for yourself?
Well, currently, I'm looking at AEW and all those other companies. Everybody wants to make it to those places, but if we're talking like indie scene, I want to go up to the Chicago region, work for either freelance or AEW. I'm not really like a deathmatch guy, but I'll go work for GCW. I'd love to work for GCW. They have such a good presence that platform can get me, into other places. I definitely want to go overseas again. I've been to London once before and wrestled for BCW, and I'd like to go over there and wrestle for like Southside. There's a place in Canada called Super Kicked that I really want to work for. If you can, put out the feelers.
Get them out there. That's what we're doing right now. We're putting them all out. All the feelers are going out.
I want to come to Super Kicked. But But yeah, PWG is obviously one of those places too. I have a stack of DVDs this big of all the early years of PWG. When I broke in, that was like the thing to watch.
Now you got a strap sitting up there in the closet, I see.
Yes.
Looks nice and shiny. What's your favorite title belt?
Like
any overall, like what's the one that's like that is the holy grail of title belts to you?
Shoot.
Question.
That is a hard question. Because you have the WWE World Championship that has such prestige. But then you also have the big gold belt.
Mm-hmm.
It's such a history. And then there's the New Japan, the heavyweight championship there. So, oh man,
All good choices,
oh,
but you only get one.
I know, right? But then there's also NWA, the NWA title. That's like, I think it would be a really cool accomplishment to be able to say I was able to win that NWA World Championship. And that one's still within rotation. So is the WWE one, but I want that NWA one.
Awesome.
So I think it's either big gold or the NWA one. And we might have to put them together in some way, like cut them in half and put them.
The prestige and the size. Well, yeah. That's a John Cena spinner thing going on there. Yeah.
Get the big gold plate, but in the middle you have the NWA thing spinning
There
around.
you go.
That sounds
I like
ridiculous.
That'll get the most biggest championship of all time.
Look at you, Christopher. I give you the favorites for one night, and you're coming up with golden ones here.
That's how I roll.
I think you might have to put some notes down, Chuckles.
I might have to. Again, with
Just a little.
just getting it in there.
Once or twice.
But Chuck has the final question, which we all think is the best question.
But before we get to the best question, I have one question.
Oh,
When-
that one.
There's more.
When you were in Connecticut, do you remember where you wrestled? The town?
I don't remember the Bristol. Is that right?
Okay. Yeah, there's a Bristol, Connecticut. Okay.
I think I worked Joseph von Schmidt. He's a tall German gimmick, like a or something like that.
Hmm.
That sounds oddly familiar.
Yeah.
Why?
It was PWA, I want to say was the name of it. Pro Wrestling Academy, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, I wrestled him. I forget who else was on the card. Azrael, I think, which is a New Jersey local. He was on TNA once or twice when they would do the one night onlys. But I can't remember anybody else.
The only reason I asked if you remembered where it was because I used to live in Connecticut, so it would. And like it's so crazy, like doing the research and looking at where a lot of the wrestlers have wrestled. Like all of a sudden, I'm going down like some of the lists of where shows have been, and I was like, wait, hold on. This person wrestled at this show at an elementary school in my town that was like less than 5 minutes away from me. I was like, how did I not even know about that?
You weren't there.
I know I wasn't there, and it would have been awesome because then I looked at the rest of the show and I was like, how could I have not been at this show?
Right.
But anyway, now we're here. Now we're at the final question, the most important question. I think he has answered this question before on Sledge's show because we kind of ask it in the chat, or Dastardly and Sledge just ask it anyway and steal it from us. But Oreo cookies, are you a single stuffer or a double stuffer?
Why did you phrase it like that?
Because I can't always ask it the same boring way. I got to come up with other ways.
Phrasing, Chuckles. Phrasing.
I got to come up with other ways. It's got to, you know.
Well, not that way.
I like that way.
I'm a double stuffer.
Aren't we all?
Double stuffed Oreos are, that's the way to go.
That is the place. That is
Oreos,
where it's
I
at.
love them too much. Get a bowl, put 6, 7 Oreos, bowl, and put that milk in there. Just eat a bowl of cereal. Well, eat it like cereal.
Oreo cereal, I'm in.
Now here's an extra question. We actually just talked to Maddie Renkowski, who is on the Mission Pro event coming up in September. She mentioned an ice cream that's a mix of cookies and cream and chocolate chip cookie dough. Have you heard of that?
Is that Millennium Crunch?
I think it was like cookie two-step or cookie two-scoop or something.
It might be cookie two-step. It might be
cookie two-step.
In the Ben and Jerry's.
Okay.
Yeah, it might be that.
I was wondering because I actually asked somebody about that today, and I was like, I said, have you ever heard of this? I mean, given we're way far north, I'm way far north of Texas, but they were like, no, but I would totally try that.
Yeah. I used to work at Dippin' Dots when I was 18 small, and I would all day I would make little cups and I would just put different ice creams together and mix them up. And my favorite concoction was cookies and cream with half strawberry ice cream.
Oh.
For some reason, it's the best. I loved it.
I like it.
It's like the old strawberry shortcake pops that you would get from the ice cream man that went around.
Yeah.
That's good stuff.
The guy in the creepy van.
We're just talking about cookies and ice cream. We're getting way off track.
Hey,
it's your time now. It's time for you to let everybody know where they can go find you and where they should be able to go look for you next.
I am on all the social media platforms, or at least the important ones, I think. Twitter and Instagram are both Unholy Diver 27. Facebook, I think it's Unholy. Actually, I think that is actually Unholy Diver 27 as well. Made it really easy for everybody. Just type that in Google and you'll find it. Then on Pro Wrestling Tees, you can just type in Isaiah James or Unholy on the Pro Wrestling Tees. I think it's still under that. You can find my shirts. I just now got some buttons, but you might have to email me directly at bookisaiahjames. Let me rephrase that. bookisaiahjames@gmail.com.
I will make sure our crack research team gets all the right ones, and we promise we will have the right. We will have them all up in the credits after the interview. Don't worry.
Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Unholy Diver 27.
There you go.
Awesome. Well, Isaiah, we really appreciate the time you gave us tonight. We had a lot of fun. We'll go back and we'll work with Chuckles, and we'll get him to do a little bit better next time on the favorites. So we appreciate the input.
Thanks for having me, guys. This was fun.
Really great time. We wish you all the best. Look forward to being out there and seeing you. We can't wait to get back to normal wrestling events that fans could be at, because as fans, we want to be out there just as much as I know you as a wrestler want to be out there in front of fans. So
yeah,
and make sure to watch Reality of Wrestling, because I'm pretty sure they drop their episodes on Sundays, and
Sundays at noon.
See, and you can see the gentleman that is sitting in front of you on some of those episodes. I'm just saying, YouTube, come on. Okay, everybody. Go ahead, Christopher.
I was gonna say, go check us out.
Please
go hit a like button.
Who cares about us?
Button.
Hit their Twitter up.
Who cares
go
about
follow us on Twitter. You can follow us.
Bother me on Twitter. Give me a reason to be
on Twitter. We'll see you on Twitter.
Yeah. Later.
You can find Isaiah Izzy James on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at UnholyDiver27. Buy some of his merchandise from ProWrestlingTees.com. Search for Unholy Diver 27 there as well. And for booking inquiries, you can email Izzy at bookisaiahjames@gmail.com. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at The Bald Monkeys. You can also check out our interviews on WrestleJoy.com. Make sure to subscribe on our YouTube page to watch our previous interviews or our roundtable discussions. Just search for The Bald Monkeys. Watch us live on our new Twitch channel, twitch.tv/TheBaldMonkeys. And finally, listen to the Bald Monkeys podcast on Apple iTunes, Podbean, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts from.